Yo, what is up, guys? It's Pedro here. So today we got another Washington weekly stream. I'm here with Juan and then Rico for Street Scores. We'll, pull up a little bit later. So, we got three different people in here. It should be pretty fun. We're going to be previewing the Washington football team's training camp, which does start next week, I do believe, 27th, which is Tuesday. So really, really excited for that. And, we'll talk about some other stuff. Jonathan Allen extension. We'll talk about that. And, do we think he will get extended? And do we want him to get extended, or would we rather have someone else get extended? And, we might do some stat predictions as well. So thanks for coming on, Juan. How you doing?
Hey man, thank you for having me on. First of all, I'm doing well. Excited for training camp. It's crazy that it's this Tuesday. Like we this in my opinion, this offseason flew by and it went faster than last year's. I remember last year when I've been had my YouTube channel for like 3 years, but I really was on and off. And last offseason was when I really started taking it serious. And yeah, it came eventually, but it was like so slow. And then this year it just like flew by. I don't know if it's because we talked about them almost every day, so like I guess it kept us afloat. But it's crazy, man. Like the off season's over. Yeah, it's no football games. Football game starts in 2 weeks for the Hall of Fame game and whatnot preseason. But like it's no games yet. But like it's football season, man, and it's crazy. Before you know it, it will be waking up September 12th, and we'll be facing the Chargers, man. So once again, I appreciate you for having me on, man. And yeah, football's almost here, man.
Yep, I appreciate you for coming on. And yeah, I'm excited training camp is like the most exciting time of the year, or one of the most exciting times of the year. And we're going to have preseason as well. So let's say hi to some people in the chat. What's up, King Sean? Shout out to him. Casper Hill, Tommy Rice, Patrick West, Sergio Seven, Rambling with Rio. He's got a good YouTube channel. Go ahead and check him out. Yeah, but we got training camp on Tuesday, so we got a few days before that starts up. And, a lot of people were thinking that Jonathan Allen would possibly get an extension done before training camp, and that still could happen. What are your thoughts? Do you think a deal will get done before training camp?
Well, yeah. So I definitely was going to make a video on this, but I didn't want to do it like right now because obviously we still have a couple of days before training camp. But honestly, I don't think so, and that's not a bad thing at all. I mean, Ron Rivera could be like, "Yeah, we want Jonathan Allen back, but he still has 1 year to prove it." So this could be a year where we think Jonathan Allen is going to be phenomenal, and he doesn't, and we dodged the bullet by letting him walk in free agency, or this could be a year where we possibly pay him before training camp, or wait till he pays him after the season, and then we give him that long extension. But here's the thing, though, that's the biggest reason why you got to play your cards right. Because if you pay him now, it'll 9 times out of 10 be cheaper than what we'll pay him at the end of the season if he balls out and have a Pro Bowl season. Because I'm telling you, if Jonathan Allen goes out there and have double-digit sacks and just being a menace in the middle of the D line alongside Deron Payne, we're gonna have to pay him more than what we possibly would pay him in training camp. So it's 50-50 with me. I don't think it's gonna happen, but at the same time, I don't know because like we should. I wouldn't mind paying him now. But then if you pay him now, you don't know if he's going to get hurt. You don't know if he's going to perform well. But then if you wait to pay him, he can have a phenomenal season. Then he's going to ask for more. So I don't think it's going to happen. But like, if it does, I'm happy for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I think it probably won't happen, but it definitely could. Like you said, what's up, Winter Nation? Appreciate you guys for coming through. And yeah, if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe to me. Juan, I think someone put his link. I think King Sean did. So make sure you guys check Juan out and also King Sean as well. I think one thing that I think teams do too much that, is a mistake is that they wait too long to extend players. And like, even though I wanted Brandon Sheriff back, like I wasn't a huge guy of like, pay him all this money, but Washington before Rivera got here could have extended him and gotten him for like 13 million like a couple years ago. They could have gotten him for 13 mil a year. Last year, Rivera, if they just, gave him an extension, offered him like 15.5 mil a year, maybe even 16, well, I'll say 15.5, they probably could have gotten a deal done. Now it's at 18. Like every year you wait, it just the value continues to go up, not only if the player gets better, but also because the cap goes up. So I think really like Washington should try to get Daron Payne's deal done this offseason because after their third year, you can get a deal done. So I just don't understand why these teams don't do it early. Like I think the 49ers did it, properly with Fred Warner. I think this was his third season, or this past season was. They got a deal done because like for example, like maybe someone like Terry McLaurin, like maybe he has, like, let's say he has 1,200 yards this year. You can get him, for a way cheaper amount than, maybe if his fourth year he goes to like 1,400, 1,500. Like the price continues to go up, not only with the player's performance, but with the salary cap going up. So I hope Washington, this year at least get one of Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne done. But we're not hearing much about Daron Payne right now. It's really just Jonathan Allen. And then next year, they're going to be able to do Montez Sweat, Terry McLaurin. Like those guys are you got to bring at least Terry McLaurin back, and I think Montez Sweat as well. You want to bring him back.
Yeah, and I agree with everything you just said. But here's the thing with Brandon Sheriff. Now that I kind of realized after this past offseason, we were about to make this guy. We offered him to make him the highest paid, I believe. If it's not the highest paid guard in the league, obviously number 2. But we offered this guy a phenomenal contract, and he turned that down. So now looking back at it, would he have accepted a 15 mil per last year if we would have offered them that, and then the year before that would he have accepted a 13 mil year per, or 13 million per year? And I guess he probably would, but at the same time we don't know, because now he figures, hey, I just want an all-pro. I just got elected as an all-pro. I deserve more money. But at the same time, I'm thinking he wouldn't have accepted a 15 million per year contract if he turned down this contract that we just offered him. And if it was to make him the highest paid guard in the league, he's not accepting 15 million per. That's just my opinion now.
Yeah, especially at this point, he's going to be wanting like 17, 18 mil a year, which I don't think is worth it for a guard. So my question to you and everyone also in the chat, I'll put a poll up in a little bit, in a couple minutes, because this is going to be like at least a 5 to 10 minute discussion. Who would you, I mean, you got to pick one. I mean, yes, it would be nice to, keep both, but if you had to pick one, Jonathan Allen or Daron Payne, who would you rather pay big money to? Because it's going to be a lot of money.
Well, if you asked me this question last year headed into this past season, I would have picked Jonathan Allen, but Daron Payne for sure. He has the better upside. He has the more weapons in his toolbox. He's just a better player in my opinion. He can be able to create the interior pressure. Now he's not the best at that. We obviously know Tim Settle and FBI United are the best 2 defense linemen on our roster at creating interior pressure, but he can also stop the run. He can also be a force in the passing game by tipping up passes at the line of scrimmage. I think you paid Daron Payne over Jonathan Allen. As much as I like John Allen, as much as he a leader is in the clubhouse and in the organization and in the locker room, Daron Payne really isn't that. And that's not saying that he can't be. He's just probably not as vocal as a Jonathan Allen. And with the thing with John Allen that he lacks is being able to create interior pressure consistently. Yeah, he can do it sometimes, and his stat shows that, but he lacks doing it on a consistent basis. Matt Ioannidis, when he's in there, he does it, if not every down, almost every single down, especially when he is at 100%. So if it's up to me, I want to pay both, but I would prefer to pay Daron Payne just because he is the better player and he has the more upside.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'll put the poll in right there so you guys can go ahead and answer that. Make sure you guys like up the stream, subscribe to both of us. I would rather pay Payne because of a few reasons. He's way younger. Not only like the 1 year younger that, he got drafted 1 year later, but I also think that he is, I think it's like a 2 or 3 year difference. Someone can tell me that in the chat as well. I think Daron Payne's like 23, 24. Yeah, he's 24 years old. And I think Jonathan Allen is like 26 years old. So he's younger. I also, I think Daron Payne's got a little bit more potential. I think he's got more potential than, Jonathan Allen as well. And, it's tough. But, if you keep, let's say, Daron Payne, who's a run stuffer, can, force some fumbles as well. And also really good, like I said, in the run game. And you keep Matt Ioannidis. I really think that's a great combo right there. And Payne has a lot of room to improve on. And, so does Allen. I mean, last year, he had really, was good in the run game, and he was good at creating pressure. He just, couldn't, just because you don't have sacks, it doesn't mean you're not creating pressure. He just wasn't able to get to the quarterback, which he actually was in the past. He had one season with 6 sacks, one season with 8 sacks. So we'll see what he can do this year. And the thing is, if Allen has a year like he did last year, but with more production. So let's say he still has dominant in the run game and in the passing game in terms of pressure, but he actually gets to the quarterback this time, 6, 7 sacks. That number that you're going to have to pay him is going to go up. So again, if you really want to sign Jonathan Allen, they better do it before the season starts because the price will go up, I think, with all of these players. And Duck says Washington was pretty mediocre in the run defense, and I do agree with that. But that was, partly sure because of the defensive line, but a lot of that had to do with the linebackers behind them. The linebackers, especially early on in the season, weren't really doing their job, in my opinion. But yeah, they definitely could have improved. So let's see. The poll so far, 13 votes, 100% say Daron Payne. A little surprising me. Like I said, Daron Payne for me, but there's a lot of Jonathan Allen fans. What's up, Splitzery? What's up, Vance? What's up, Duck? What's up, Town Ho? Appreciate you guys for coming in. And yeah, it's going to be interesting because they've got 6 really good defensive linemen on the roster right now. I think they're only going to be able to keep 4. That is my opinion. Especially if they continue to, develop their offensive players. I mean, you're not going to be able to pay all these guys 5 out of 6. I really, really don't think so.
Yeah, and I mean, I was just about to say this. The Buccaneers, they kind of made a way for. I see what people say when they say the Buccaneers made a way for your team able to resign all your players, especially your defensive players. But here's the thing: as much as Shaquille Barrett is a phenomenal pass rusher, as much as JPP is really good, as much as all that everybody on that defense is really good, they don't have a Chase Young on that team. They don't have a Montez Sweat on that team in terms of getting $100 million contracts each. So I see what they're trying to say. They made a move where they re-signed everybody on their defense or their team rather that was a free agent, but they didn't have that many players that needed that is going to need that Chase Young and Montez Sweat money. I'm talking, like I said, $100 million contracts per, and that's just with those 2 players alone. Not even talking the Daron Paynes and the Jonathan Allen contracts that we're gonna have to add in on top of that. So I hope we can keep our whole D line, but it's not likely, man. $100 million per person or per edge rusher, that's not likely. You know what I'm saying? If we decide to keep those 2, everybody else is gonna have to suffer because you got to think about it like this. You have Cole Holcomb who has a van. The person I'm about to name, they're not gonna make nearly as much as obviously Chase Young and Montez Sweat. But you have Cole Holcomb, you're gonna have to pay. If you want to keep Tim Settle, he's coming up. If you want to keep Matt Ioannidis, he's coming up. Who else from that 2019 draft class that has really made a difference? I mean, Terry, obviously, but I'm talking defense-wise. Cam Curl is going to end up coming up. He's 2020, but he's going to end up you're going to have to pay soon. You have so many players on this defense and team in general that you're going to have to pay really soon. So you got to be careful. I mean, like I said, as much as I want to keep Chase Young and Montez Sweat, I don't know if that's even likely.
Yeah, and something that I think would be a possibility, you re-sign just in terms of what could happen in the future, you re-sign Chase Young, Montez Sweat, you re-sign Payne. That keeps you 3 out of the 4 there, and then I would you could re-sign Settle and keep those 4, or you could also re-sign Ioannidis because I think Ioannidis and Settle combined are better than Allen for the money, in my opinion. Plus, if you trade Allen early enough, you can get, like, let's say a second round pick or a second and a fifth. So, like, in my opinion, I rather have a second round pick, a fifth round pick, Tim Settle and Matt Ioannidis than Jonathan Allen. That's just me, though. I saw someone put that in the comments the other day, and I thought that was a pretty good point. And it doesn't even have to be, keep Settle and Ioannidis. It could just be one plus the pick that they're gonna get. But yeah, that's just my thought, though. What do you
Yeah.
think about that?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And here's the thing, though, that I was also that can be the con or the rebuttal to what I had to say. You maybe could squeeze in both of these guys if they take team friendly though, because I'm just assuming that they want $100 million each, and this is assuming, and this is with Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen. They're not going to want $100 million. Those two players, but maybe they all have that talk and have that Tom Brady mentality where they're like, hey man, as much as I want all the money in the world to be that guy that's going to be super rich, because all these guys are already rich, but to be super rich, I would rather have championship rings. I would rather compete for and division titles. I'd rather be a force in the NFC for a decade than take the $100 million contract that's gonna, have me good, but gonna have my team suffering, and we're gonna be subpar because I want to take all the money. And if you're like that out there, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? You want all the money for yourself. But if you want to have team success and you want to win rings, you want to have a chance to go to the Hall of Fame and make that even more likely, because you can go to the Hall of Fame, obviously no rings, but essentially what I'm trying to say is to specifically Chase Young and Montez Sweat. Yeah, take that $100 million contract if you want to. Of course, I'm not gonna hit on another man for making his bag. But if you want to have that Super Bowl, the multiple Super Bowls, have team success for a very long time, I would kind of lean more towards for them to take a team friendly deal, and they could possibly do that. And Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, they all seem like those type of players to want to have that team friendly deal, to have that team success. But we'll see. You know what I'm saying? Nobody worse. We'll cross that bridge when that time comes. I know obviously Jonathan Allen is coming up and Deron Payne, but we still got a couple years left with Chase Young, because Montez Sweat is right after Deron Payne too. So dang.
Yeah. And let's see. I was going to mention this earlier, but Doug said it as well. If we don't have a franchise quarterback, then we can, pay a little bit of these, defensive players a little bit more. And what I'll say, like, we could go the route next offseason of going after an Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson type, where they already got contracts locked down, like 40+ mil a year. Or if we go the draft route, like maybe we keep Fitzpatrick next year. Let's say he plays, solid. Let's say he plays, decent. We pay him like 12 mil. We draft a guy in the first round. Then we're going to have cheap quarterback play. And if that guy who we draft in the first round ends up being a stud, then we're going to be able to keep these guys around for 3-4 more years while that quarterback is, on his rookie contract. So we will see about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so let's go ahead. Anyone have any questions in the comments, go ahead and put them down below. Yeah, so let's, kind of transition a little bit into training camp before, while Rico starts to come in here in the next 5-10 minutes. So what are you most excited to see during training camp?
Well, first, before I even get to like the players or anything, I'm just excited to have somewhat of a normal NFL season and a normal training camp with fans coming back, with it actually starting on time, with it just being a normal NFL season, hopefully, because you still have to follow the COVID protocols and whatnot, especially if you're not vaccinated. But first, before I even get to that, I'm just excited to have a regular NFL season with fans back, man. But to get to what I'm most excited for, I could be excited for everything, to be honest with you. It's hard to narrow it down to one, but if I had to, I'm most excited to see the quarterback competition, just because I want to see if Ron Rivera is going to actually have a true quarterback competition. Because if you remember last year, he actually came out and said that he didn't, have a true quarterback competition. He gave it to Dwayne Haskins without having a real quarterback competition. That's the mistake he made. So hopefully he learned from that last year to now this year with Taylor Heineke, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I know obviously we're excluding Kyle Allen, but he's not going to do that if he's having a real quarterback competition. So you had those three guys fighting for a starting quarterback spot, but we know it's strictly Taylor Heinicke and Ryan Fitzpatrick. I hope he's doing it right, because if we're being real, I hope a lot of people will agree with me on this, but we know Taylor Heinicke is the better skilled player, in my opinion. And we know if he's having a true competition, and we know that Taylor Heinicke is going to beat out Ryan Fitzpatrick. But we'll see. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm most excited to see, is the quarterback competition and how Ron Rivera is going to handle it.
So let's see. So now it's funny, the poll for Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen. So we were at 13-0 in terms of the votes, all for Daron Payne. And maybe it's because I said it, but now Jonathan Allen has 56% of the votes. Daron Payne has 44% of the votes. So, I think I just personally rather have Payne. But if you guys put Allen, or even if you put Payne and you guys just came in, go ahead and put, why you would rather pay Payne or Allen. So put that in the comments down below. Yeah, I think, I don't think it's really going to be a quarterback competition, really, because, Fitzpatrick even the other day said, like, this is the best situation I've been in, going in as the guy, as the starter. He kind of pretty much said that. So I think Fitzpatrick will be the starter. I think he'll surprise some people. I think he'll be solid for us. He's been better the last few years. But we will see. Let's see. Someone says, I truly believe we would have beat the Bucs if Taylor didn't go for that dive touchdown. That's where he injured his shoulder and everything went left. I mean,
well, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Nah, I was just gonna say, yeah, that's true, but Taylor didn't even play. He wasn't. At least he didn't show that he was affected by the shoulder injury. He still was balling out. It was the defense that really sold us in that game. You know what I'm saying? It was the defense. It was just not being able to get stops. Tom Brady literally just taking it down, throwing downfield, carving us up, picking us apart. Then you had Jack Del Rio trying to run. What was it? A cover 6 or cover 2 invert where he had the cornerback drop down or drop over top to play safety, and had the safety drop down to play cornerback, and then Antonio Brown was wide open. I mean, I could see what you're trying to say, but I personally think it was a defense, man. Taylor did not show that he was affected by that shoulder injury. He very well could have been, but at least he didn't show any like that he was affected by it. But I think we could have won if we would have had I wouldn't say better defense, but if we could have just tweaked a few things and actually, could have stopped Tom Brady. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I agree. And we got Rico in here. I'm about to put him in the stream. And yeah, I'll just say defense definitely let us down, but I'll also say that pick hurt us, but it wasn't really his fault. It was just unlucky. It was a deflection, and then Cam Sims dropping that like first play touchdown. That was like
that would have set the tone for the game.
Yeah. So let me go ahead and add Rico in here. Appreciate you coming in, Rico. Yeah, been a while. I'm happy you came on. You and Juan, we got 3 people on the stream. So King Sean just put Rico's link in there. Make sure you guys go sub him up. Great Washington football team YouTuber. Make sure you guys sub up Juan as well. How you doing, Rico?
I'm good. How are y'all doing over there?
I'm doing good, man. Make sure y'all give my man the 10K, man. What y'all doing?
Man, we right there, man. We're all on the way up, man. I love it, man. I can't wait for the regular season to hit so everybody can just take off together, man. We all getting up there for real.
Yep. Yes, yep. Appreciate that. So we were kind of talking about the debate between Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen. We would all love to pay both of them, but realistically, it's going to be hard to do that, right? It's going to be hard if we do get our franchise quarterback, especially if it's free agency or via trade. We're not going to be able to pay all 4 of those starters and even Ioannidis and Settle. So who would you rather pay, Jonathan Allen or Daron Payne, if you had to?
Man, it's difficult. Jonathan Allen, leadership, very underrated. If you look at Jonathan Allen's advanced statistics, he's top 5 in so many random metrics. He's just he just doesn't get the box score stats, like the actual sacks. But then Daron Payne is this limitless potential. I mean, if you had to say anybody that has the same ceiling, somewhere similar to a Montez Sweat or Chase Young, just based off of athleticism, explosion, that's Daron Payne. And I'm always going to have to side with the potential. I always feel like coaches do your job, get the most out of this guy. So it hurts because Jonathan Allen's a big leadership guy. They love him over there. Ron Rivera loves him. But if I had to choose, I would take Daron Payne. I prefer to just cut like a handful of other people and figure it out. But yeah, I'll have to take Daron Payne over Jonathan Allen, me personally.
Yeah, I think so. We all three agreed on that. I would go for Payne because, and I do agree, Jonathan Allen is definitely underrated, but Payne is younger. He's not only was he drafted a year later, but he's 2 years younger than Jonathan Allen. And I agree with you, got a lot more potential. And I think though they probably want Allen over Payne because of the culture. But personally, I would rather re-sign Payne, and I hope they do it soon because he's eligible for the contract extension this offseason. They could have started already after the third year. They're able to do it. So, and we were talking about that too. Like, it's good for these teams to get these contract extensions done earlier rather than later because the contract, like if they get it done this year with Payne or even Allen, they can save a lot of money, especially if Jonathan Allen has the season he had last year, but just a little bit more production because, he was great in the run game and good at getting pressure. He just wasn't able to get the quarterback down. If he's able to get the quarterback down next year, get like 6 or 7 sacks, his, contract is going to rise up, and it's going to be hard for the Washington football team to re-sign him. So they got to get it done now if they really do want to re-sign him. So, what's up, Rashad? Appreciate the $2 donation, the collab we didn't know we needed. Thanks for the $2 donation. Thanks for coming in again, man. And so we talked about this also earlier, but we'll change the question up a little bit. What is the player you're most excited to see during training camp / preseason? So you guys can choose who wants to answer that first.
You want to go ahead or you want me to go ahead, Rico?
Go ahead. Man, I'm struggling. Please go.
You put me on the spot, man, because I mean, like, I've been excited for every season. And you even go back to that 2019 season because obviously I didn't know that the debacle was going to happen that 3-13 season. I was excited for that. But you look at this season, I was excited for going to 2019 and 2020 because why? We fired Bruce Allen, we got Ron Rivera up in there, we got Jack Del Rio up in there. But now you look at this, we have so much talent on the offensive side of the ball. We don't even need to talk about the defense. We know what the defense is going to bring. I'm excited for this offense, but if I had to pick one person, it's De'Ami Brown, man, because he was my favorite draft pick. I know a lot of people love Jamin Davis. The reason why Jamin Davis is my favorite pick is because I just know he's going to be a dog straight up. I know he's going to come in and just handle his business. I don't see him being that guy that's going to be that vocal. And I'm talking in terms of, being on social media and stuff like that. I know he's going to be a vocal leader in the huddle, but I want to see that flashy guy. I want to see that guy that's, going to be out there talking trash. And De'Ami, I get those vibes from him. I get Terry vibes from him, but I feel like he's going to end up growing into that guy that's going to be like, hey, man, talking to the cornerback, hey, man, I run you, man. So I'm excited to see De'Ami because I feel like he could be the Terry McLaurin 2.0. And I don't only think that. A lot of people that get paid to be analysts and, do the drafting, they comparing him to Terry McLaurin. And I really see it. The guy, like I said, he's a shy, a soft-spoken kind of guy. Just like Terry, he just shows up and handles his business. And I'm excited to see De'Ami, man. There's so many more players that I want to choose from, but De'Ami, man, he takes the cake for me.
Yeah, De'Ami's huge because I agree. It's kind of like Terry McLaurin talent with like Pierre Garçon almost attitude. Because if you remember that one play against AJ Terrell, drafted first round to the Falcons, he told Sam Howell before the ball was even snapped, throw me the ball. He's cooked. Like, I got him. And then he went and got a touchdown off of him. I love that. That made me fall in love with him as soon as I saw that. Since you took one of the top three, I guess that makes it easier for me to pick one of these other two. I may have to go with Jamin Davis. And I know what you're saying. Like, it's kind of like automatic. We know he's going to ball out. But, like, I remember on Twitter, somebody put up a question, who would you prefer to have an all-pro year? And it had, like, a list of names, William Jackson, of course, Chase Young. I feel like if Jamin Davis has an all-pro year, because we already know what Chase Young and those guys are going to do, even William Jackson. If Jamin Davis is good enough to make all-pro, where the Bucs defense even better really this year, and then it's just up to Ryan Fitzpatrick and Taylor Heineke to just hold it down on the offensive side. If Jamin Davis plays an all-pro level, it changes everything. He'll be the Luke Kuechly of our defense, and just imagine what we had last year adding William Jackson and then Luke Kuechly. Like, that's crazy. So I'm gonna have to go with Jamin Davis just off of, if he balls out, it changes everything. But De'Ami Brown, especially like entertainment wise, oh yeah, I love De'Ami Brown. That's the attitude I love right there.
Man, you both stole mine. I was going to say De'Ami and then Jamin Davis. And I'll just add on a little bit to the Jamin Davis, why I really want to see him, and then I'll go ahead and put my player is because, we got to, see some, not much from any players in minicamp and OTAs. We got to see a little bit. Like, we got to see a couple touchdowns by De'Ami Brown. You're able to see a little bit more from these receivers, quarterbacks, running backs in, early on with no contact drills. We heard nothing pretty much from Jamin Davis in mini camps and OTA. So with actual contact drills, I am excited to see what he can do and how he's commanding the defense, and if he does get that starting middle linebacker role. I'm really, really excited to see that. So the player I'm excited to see, I think I said this last week, but I'm excited to see Curtis Samuel, because I want to see how they use him. We know he's going to be good, but how good and how are they going to use him? How much are they going to use him out of the backfield? And, how healthy he is. Let's see. Before we get to this donation, we got a bunch of people saying Benjamin St. Juice. I agree. I think that'll be an intriguing player we got. Let's see. Redskin Jim, he said, let's see. Yeah, like 3 or 4 people said St. Juice, and appreciate the $5 donation. Tao and Ho, appreciate you. You've been a great supporter of the channel for a while now. And he says, I'm excited for De'Ami Brown. I hope he makes the team, and Jarrett Patterson as well. I think De'Ami Brown definitely going to make the team, and he should have a pretty big impact right away. Jarrett Patterson, though, that's an interesting one. If he makes the roster. Now, what do you guys think? Do you think Patterson makes the roster, or do you think they try to keep him on the practice squad?
Well, with Jared Patterson, I want to say he's going to make this roster. I mean, yeah, you can say I've been a little biased, but he's from my hometown. He's from PG County. So, of course, I'm going to say I want Jared Patterson here just off that. But here's the thing with Jared Patterson, and this is the thing with a lot of people don't say about Payne Barber. Yeah, Payne Barber isn't the best guy, but he carved out a role for himself. Hey, Payne Barber, we need you to pick up that 3rd and 2 last year. He got it. And on the third, on the the 3rd-yard line, I forgot. Was it versus Pittsburgh after Scott Turner came out of the gun 3 times in a row. Then he finally decides to give it to Payne Barber, and he scores a touchdown. So I think Payne Barber, he obviously has his role, and that's picking up short yardage, downs and whatnot, and yardage on plays. And I think that with Jared Patterson, he can eventually be that plus more. I think he can be that guy that can help out Antonio Gibson as far as being that second bell cow. I don't know if he's going to make the roster off the back, just because I feel like Ron Rivera wants to go with the veteran, that being Payne Barber, and also he has a role for himself. And then I think he's going to he assumes that Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissic can carry the load yet again. But I wouldn't be surprised if Jared Patterson ended up making this roster off the back. And if he doesn't make this roster, it's going to be hard to sneak him through waivers, because obviously that Buffalo game, or when he played for Buffalo, that game that he had, I believe it was versus Bowling Green. I could be wrong. I don't remember who was versus, but crazy, man. Was it 8 touchdowns or 7 touchdowns, like 536 yards? It's going to be hard to sneak him through waivers. So I hope he makes the roster, but I'm unsure about that at the moment, just because I think Payne Barber has that on lockdown.
Yeah, and I agree with literally everything you said. I feel like it just may become like a strategy thing, because we're trying to figure out how we're going to narrow down receivers to 6. We're trying to figure out how we're going to narrow down the secondary to a certain number, the offensive line. So I feel like at a certain point, we may just let Jared Patterson try to hope he can survive on the practice squad and nobody take him. Just politics, just trying to roster management. But I would really hope we keep 4 running backs, and Jared Patterson is one of them, because I feel like he could be that direct backup to Antonio Gibson, and to take off a lot of the carries for him, especially since he's going to be blocking, he's going to be running routes, going to be doing all kinds of stuff. So I'm rooting for him heavy.
Yep.
Yeah, and I agree because the thing is, like, let's say AG goes down. Like, if he goes down during the season, even if it's for one game or two games, who is able to carry the ball 12 to 15 times or more a game? I mean, Peyton Barber, you don't want him. I mean, Peyton Barber is good for 5 carries, in my opinion, max a game. Like, even last year, I felt like he got a few too many, first and 10 carries. And Lamar Miller, if he is back to form like he was a couple years ago, that could be a potential option. But I think Jarrett Patterson definitely could be that guy. Let's see. Luck, appreciate the $5 donation. He says, I feel weird because Rico came in and caught me cheating. I'm sorry, Rico. You want to
It's
explain
good
that?
luck. It was good luck. I don't know. I guess people like feel weird going, from street channel to channel and stuff like that. But like I always say, man, support everybody, man. I love it. I love the fact that y'all are like everywhere. Like I love seeing the same people because I mean I already know how the chat's gonna go. I know everybody's opinions on certain things like the quarterback situation, all that type of stuff. I love it. I love the continuity.
Yeah, appreciate the $5 donation. T-Ho, appreciate the $2 donation. Says, call me T-Ho. It's easy to remember. Will do for now. From now on, T-Ho. Appreciate the $2 donation. So, a lot of people are saying they think Patterson's gonna make it. Appreciate that, Joey. So let's see.
Please.
Let's go. Next question is, I'll go, who do you think is a possible surprise cut for Washington this year?
Dang, man. Oh, it's tough. It's gonna be so many. Can I name a list? Cause like it's not like last year where we didn't have no talent, so we knew who was gonna be cut, and you can look at them as surprise cuts, or actually just say they were gonna cut last year. But now we have so much talent, man. You could see Antonio Gandy Golden get cut after 1 year, even though I don't think that's gonna happen. You could see Kelvin Harmon unfortunately get cut because I swear I'm not lying. I thought this dude was going to have at least probably 600, 700 yards in 2020 if he didn't tear his ACL. He tore it up down the stretch of the season last year in 2019. And it just sucks that he tore his ACL, man. So you can see him getting cut. You can see a lot of people on this roster getting cut. So I think probably my surprise cut, that's tough right there, man. I think I would have to go with Kelvin Harmon because I feel like Kelvin Harmon could be a guy for us that can be that possession receiver and, just throw it up to him and fade routes or even just throwing it up to him just to test out the cornerback and whatnot. But I think that torn ACL is going to hurt him, and him not getting drafted by this regime is going to hurt him. And I think Antonio Gandy Golden is going to get saved just because he was drafted by this regime, and he also was hurt last year. You really can't control that. So I think now, with that being said, I think Antonio Gandy Golden makes the roster over Kelvin Harmon, unfortunately. And I know I didn't name everybody because you have Cam Sims who could possibly get cut too. I think Kelvin Harmon's the odd man out, unfortunately, and he's going to go somewhere else and ball, man. So I think that's my guy.
Yeah, I love Kelvin Harmon, so I really hope he makes it. But for the exact reasons you stated, it's just not very likely. And also to your beginning point, like with how much talent we have now, it's going to be so many people to get cut this year that like last year we would be like, man, we wish we had them right now. Yeah, like they were just like, man, we could have used the Adam Humphries last year. You know what I'm saying? So he might not make it. For me, it may be DeShazer Everett. They may go with the younger, more athletic guys, the speed, the strength, and then with him kind of being a little positionless because he's not rangy enough to be a free safety, and he's also not, he keeps getting hurt playing strong safety. He's a big time hit guy, but it weighs down on him. So I feel like they may take a look at like a Derek Forrest and be like, maybe you can be play that backup role. Darryl Roberts, who's really versatile, can play everywhere on the secondary. Not great, but can do a little bit of everything. So I feel like it may be DeShazer Everett. Maybe they keep him because of his leadership, but I don't know. He may be on the outside looking in.
I have been saying this for the longest time. I think that DeShazer Everett is definitely a possible surprise cut because of a lot of reasons. First off, I feel like him and Derek Forrest are very similar players in terms of they both can play free safety or strong safety, or at least Derek Forrest did that in college, and ever has done that so far in the NFL. And they both play special teams. And Derek Forrest, at least early on in his, career, that's where he's primarily going to be playing. So I definitely could see a scenario where they do cut Deshazor Everett. If Landon Collins starts the year on PUP, then maybe they don't have to cut Deshazor Everett. Maybe they can keep 5 safeties. But if Landon Collins, starts the year healthy, then they might have to cut, Everett or maybe someone else. So I think that is definitely a good surprise cut, and Harmon as well. I think this isn't really a surprise cut, but I could definitely see them moving on from Keith Ismail. I mean, you really think about it. He didn't really play last year. If they keep 9 offensive linemen, they might want to keep Tyler Larson, who played for Ron Rivera earlier on in his career. So we will see about that. So I want a couple more questions for you guys, and you guys can put some in the chat as well. What if you had to if you had to predict the 6 receivers that you think you think will make the roster? Go ahead and do that. I'll go first to give you guys some time. I kind of have mine down. If it's 6, if it's 7, it gets a little bit complicated, and you guys can go and put that in the chat as well. So obviously Terry, Curtis Samuel, De'Ami Brown, those 3 absolute locks. After that, I think Adam Humphries makes it. I think Cam Sims makes it. So that's 5 right there. And the 6th I think will make it is AGG, kind of, what Juan said earlier on. He's from this regime, a 4th-round draft pick, and really had no offseason last year, no OTAs, no mini camp, no preseason. He, had 1 practice or 2 training camp practices before he got hurt. So I think that he'll make it. Harmon could be on the outside looking in. Maybe they're able to keep him on the practice squad. And maybe, I think it's too late at this point, but maybe there could be like a kind of a Niles Paul transition. I've been hearing this for a while, where maybe they have him add 10, 15 pounds and play him a little bit more of a hybrid wide receiver, tight end role.
Yep. So yeah, man, with my 6 receivers, Terry, De'Ami, and obviously Curtis Samuel being the 3 locks. And then after that, you have, in my opinion, I think Adam Humphries make it. So that's 4. And then my 5 and 6, I think they're going to keep 6 receivers. I think it's actually going to be Kelvin Harmon and Antonio Gandy-Golden. And the reason why I said that, I know you're probably like, hey, what about Dax Milne? What about Cam Sims? That's what we have to deal with now. We have so much talent that it's like, I don't want to cut Cam Sims, but I truly think Kelvin Harmon has the potential. Even after that 20 ACL, he even came out and said that he feels faster, and that's not a typical thing. Or that is a typical thing after after ACL surgery. You will hear athletes say they feel much faster and much explosive after the ACL injury or the ACL surgery. So he said that he feels more explosive and more faster, and I think he even has the better upside pre-injury and post-injury than Cam Sims. And then you look at Antonio Gandy-Golden, like we all just said here, he was drafted by the regime, and he really got his rookie season robbed from him because of injuries, because of COVID. He didn't have a mini camp. He didn't really have no time to be an NFL player or learn the game as much as other players did. And that can be used as an excuse too, because then you look at every other rookie last year, they had to deal with the same thing. But I do think they make it. And Cam Sims and Dax Milne, I think he'll stay on the practice squad, and I think Cam Sims is going to eventually go somewhere else and ball out. And that's tough, man, because I want to keep on to him, but we can't keep on to everybody because that's just the state of our team now, and I'm actually happy with that.
I agree. And also to your point, like when in doubt, if we don't keep like a pure slot receiver, Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, De'Ami Brown all have experience in the slot. They can all play the slot if we need to. I'm definitely, it's more so with my heart than my brain that I'm rooting for Kelvin Harmon to make it. So I'm gonna have to put Kelvin Harmon in mind. I agree that the top 3, De'Ami, Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel are locks. I feel like Cam Sims is like the next tier of safe, unless he's just completely terrible in training camp and then he loses his spot. But I think he's relatively safe. I'm about to give it to Kelvin Harmon 5th. And then I'm going to probably go Dax Milne 6th just off of his Nate Kaxer said that he loves him as a potential returner. And then John Kine random, I don't even know how I caught it. It was like randomly in the reply somewhere on Twitter, he said that like Rivera and company love Dax Milne and they view him as their future slot guy. So I don't think they're gonna let him go. I think they're gonna try to make him like their version of Adam Humphries of the future without the injuries. And I mean, if you just go look at Zach Wilson's highlights, it's Dax Milne out there making diving catches and making some of those miracle plays happen. So that would be my ideal 6, maybe not my most realistic, but that's my favorite.
Yeah, and we got, appreciate Landry, the $5 donation. And he's kind of, adding on to this, and we'll talk about that real quick. I got Curtis Samuel starting at the slot, not Adam. I want Terry and either Brown or Cam on the outside with Samuel starting in the slot. What are your guys' thoughts on that? And again, Landry, appreciate the $5 donation.
Oh yeah, so like you just said, we have so many weapons on this wide receiving core, and they all have the ability, or should I say, the first 3 really have the ability to play slot, and that's dangerous because you can move Terry into the slot and then have Dayami lined up on the outside. You can have Curtis lined up on the outside. I know you guys remember back in 2019 and even 2020, I believe so, because I think Ronald Darby was the man that got cooked on that play. But you've seen Curtis Samuel work on the outside. I know that slot is where he makes his money, and even in the backfield, but he killed us in 2019 and in 2020 from the outside. So he has the ability to do that. If you have Adam Humphries in the slot, I'm not mad at it because that's where he makes his money also. And him and Ryan Fitzpatrick has that connection and that chemistry that they can go back to, I believe it was Tampa Bay. And he's just like that. I don't want to say off-brand Wes Welker or off-brand Julian Edelman because he's not as good as either one of those guys in their prime with Tom Brady. I mean, you could say Tom Brady made him look good, but I mean, he's not nearly as good as them. But he's like a Scotty Miller, if you get what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. He can be that guy for us that can be coming in the slot and pick up move the chains on the 3rd and 5, and like a Cole Beasley too. I'm done with the comparisons, but you see what I'm saying here. So I wouldn't be mad if Adam Humphries is the starter, but hey, if we're going with Terry, Curtis, and Dayami, track stars, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I agree. And again, just like how we were talking about with like how people are not going to make the roster this time that we could have used last year. Like when we signed Adam Humphries, I was so excited. I was like, yes, we finally got a pure slot receiver to help us. And then here comes the draft. De'Ami Brown, Dax Milne come. We see Kelvin Harmon in early, off-season workouts, looking a little bit better than what we expected further ahead in his recovery. So it's crazy that Adam Humphries may be the man on the outside looking in, because I was so excited when we got him.
One thing I'll say, though, about Adam Humphries versus Dax Milne, and I know it's only one reporter, but I think like John Keim, I saw in one of his replies, he said that there is they really like Milne. He said something like they really like Milne, but he's not going to be making a roster spot over Adam Humphries. I think Adam Humphries will making the roster, but Dax Milne definitely has a chance. We will see, and especially if he can play special team in terms of if he can be their returner, that's huge for him making the roster. So kind of answering the question, I hope they put, Curtis Samuel in the slot. What I think will happen is obviously Terry's going to be on the outside, and it's really going to be a competition between De'Ami Brown and Cam Sims for that other outside spot. I think Curtis Samuel will start out in the slot, but he's going to be rotating a lot from the slot to the outside. And, when Curtis Samuel's not in the slot, they'll have Adam Humphries in. They'll rotate Terry in as well. So Curtis Samuel, though, I think he thrived, in the slot, especially last year in Carolina. I cannot wait to see what he can do, because I really think he will have a breakout year this year. I think he had 850 yards receiving last year. Every season he adds 200 receiving yards. So I think if they use him properly this year, I think he's going to have a huge year.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you on everything you said about that, because I'm going to just keep it short and sweet, man. Track stars, because I don't want to compare us to the Chiefs, because the Chiefs on a whole other level with Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, and everybody on that team. But we can be somewhat like Kansas City. Like I said, obviously not as skilled yet, but in terms of speed, come on, man. Ryan Fitzpatrick, or I want Taylor Heineke to be the starter, but we know Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to most likely win that job. He's going to have too much fun, and it's going to be fun to watch this offense. I'm calling at least we struggled to do it. What did we do it only one time last year? We're scoring over 30 points at least 3 games this season, man. It's going to be fun. So, like I said, Dayami, Curtis, Terry, man, track stars.
Yeah, and so another question. So do you guys think, so I really think obviously Terry's got that one of those outside spots on lock. I mean, no one's taking that from him, but the other outside spot, I think, like I said, I think it's pretty safe to say that Curtis Samuel will be rotating. He'll play all over the place. He's going to play in the slot. He's going to play on the outside. He's going to take some, carries out of the backfield as well as some jet sweeps. But who do you think will have, be the other outside guy besides Terry and, Curtis sometimes? Who do you think will be that next guy? Will it be De'Ami Brown or Cam Sims? What are your guys' thoughts?
Honestly, that's crazy because, like, we don't have now I'm thinking about it, we don't even have a set number 2. Like, we have so many players that can be that number 2. We don't have a set number 2, and that you can use that as could be like that's good or bad because you want to have a set number 2. But at the same time, we have so many weapons that can play that position. I do think Ron Rivera is probably going to end up going with, or Scott Turner for that matter, is probably going to end up going with a veteran or Kelvin Harmon or Cam Sims being that number 2 outside because he probably wants to have that traditional number 2 that's going to be there every single week. I mean, what did we have? Dontrell Inman? Oh, my Lord, man. Dontrell Inman, are you kidding me? So, I mean, I would prefer it to be De'Ami as the number 2, set in stone. Maybe if that happens at some point in the season, but I do think he's probably going to end up going with Cam Sims or Kelvin Harmon as that traditional number 2 because he wants to play traditional football probably. That's what I'm assuming. But we could very well see De'Ami being that number 2. I hope it's that way.
I agree because I think Curtis Samuel is going to be used in so many different, variety of ways that he won't technically be a number 2. He's just going to be a nice utility guy.
Basically.
Yeah, just position. Yeah, he's going to be running back some plays. So I think De'Ami Brown is going to be the one to step up. Maybe Cam Sims very early on, but I think just like I think Samuel Cosmi is going to start relatively early on, maybe not week 1, but like sooner than what people think. I think the same thing with De'Ami Brown taking over as that second option, Terry McLaurin. Especially, Terry McLaurin is going to be the one demanding double teams. Defensive coordinators, the week before they play us are going to be like, we have to stop him and just, whatever else happens. And I think De'Ami Brown is going to be able to eat off of that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think, early on it might be Cam Sims, but probably at some point it will be De'Ami Brown, and that's going to be nice to see. Our offense is going to be looking scary. So, Chris, I appreciate the $2 donation. Says, how many 30-plus yard touchdowns for the Washington football team this season? So, that is tough to answer just because I don't know how many they had last year. So, if anyone does know, go ahead and put that in the comments. But definitely more than last year because our offense definitely struggled last year. I mean, especially having Haskins start. What did he start? 6 games. He played some other games too as a reliever. Don't even get me started on Haskins. Did he have a single 30-plus yard touchdown last year? I don't think he did.
Highly doubt it.
I don't think he did.
He almost did. He almost did in Baltimore, but then Terry got tackled down, But other than that, nah, man. Should he have had a 30-yard touchdown on multiple occasions?
Yes.
Yeah, but he obviously couldn't do that, man. I ain't gonna do too much on Dwayne though.
Yeah. And then Kyle Allen had one to Terry. I know that for sure. I think he also might have had one to Cam Sims.
I believe so, like back of the end zone type of thing.
Yeah,
I think.
Giants. Week 6.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then, I believe so. Alex Smith also had one against Terry, or had one with Terry against the Giants. And he had one against Dallas. Terry had a huge touchdown against Dallas. I think it's going to be way more this year because we didn't have a single 30. Oh, actually, Gibson had a couple. He had one in the Cowboys game that I think was over 30 yards rushing touchdown. But I think we'll definitely have more this year because I think adding Curtis Samuel and even De'Ami Brown and Adam Humphries is going to open things up a little bit more. And there's going to be more threats. Teams are going to want to double Terry, but they might not be able to every single game. So I think it's definitely going to be more than last year. A
Yeah,
lot more.
and definitely, and what we're kind of sleeping on, as far as talking about in this stream, I know we're not sleeping on, but as far as talking about in the stream, Logan Thomas, as much as like Logan Thomas was relied on so heavily last year, now he's probably, according to probably, the offensive coordinator and Scott Turner and the quarterback, he's probably higher up on their list as far as, being the main target or being one of the targets that they go to. But as far as what we think, as far as, the talent, I think he drops down on the poll, but at the same time, that makes his job much easier. So then more passes will be going to him. We're not going to have to rely on Logan Thomas so much heavily that, defenses are going to shy away from him. And that's going to let him be more open than what he was last year. Logan Thomas, man, I can't wait for it. And I think he might have a couple 30-yard touchdown receptions and himself.
Yeah, no, I agree. Logan Thomas is going to be able to eat underneath. I mean, Scott Turner was finding a way to get him open last year. Like, I mean, some of Logan Thomas's catches, it was like no defender within 5 yards. And that was just only with Terry McLaurin basically out there doing it by himself with a little bit of Antonio Gibson. So now with all of these other weapons, and even John Bates as a dual threat tight end, we're finally going to be able to run 2 tight end sets. I see Logan Thomas being open underneath as well. Also, don't forget about J.D. McKissick. J.D. McKissick, along with Logan Thomas, were a huge help last year.
Yep, and then also they were like Scott Turner and I believe Ron Rivera said it too, but Antonio Gibson is going to be more involved in the passing game too this year, and a lot of people probably had got to get a refresher about this, but he's a converted wide receiver or converted receiver to running back, and he has that that wide receiver experience. So maybe we even line him up in the slot and let him cook a DB or safety or two a couple times, and he can get a couple passing touchdowns, man. So this offense is just loaded, man. It's all about if not Kyle Allen. But Taylor Heineke or Ryan Fitzpatrick, if they could put it together, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Yeah, so Landry, appreciate the $5 donation again. He says, I remember when Juan Gotti predicted Dwayne having a Pro Bowl season.
Hey, man. He fooled us on that videos.
I said, last year I thought Darius Geis was going to have a huge year before he got arrested. I think besides Haskins, obviously, the biggest disappointment last year was Steven Sims. I thought I predicted Steven Sims to have like 700 plus yards, have a huge year, and he just didn't.
Yeah, man. I'll take it, man. Real players lose, man. You know what I'm saying? Real players take an L every once in a while, so I'll take it, man. But Dwayne, we got some beef, man. I put my chest out for you, man, saying you was gonna do all this and do all that, be better than Daniel Jones, and you do that for me, man. Nah, all seriousness, I'm wishing you the best in Pittsburgh, man. I actually want to see you be successful, man. But you fooled us or fooled me in them workout videos. I'm like, okay, Dwayne, you look familiar. You looking really good. And then even I had my friend, his friend is in Virginia, and he was shooting the videos for Dwayne Haskins actually with the camera and stuff like that. They was posting on Instagram. He was actually there, and he was saying that Dwayne Haskins was looking crazy good, and obviously to a regular human, Dwayne's gonna look crazy good because as much as terrible as he is, he has that arm talent, so he's gonna look crazy good. But last year they were saying he was looking phenomenal, man. So I got fooled. I'll admit it. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we mess up. Or I mess up here and there, man. Real players take an L, but we always bounce back, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Again, I was right with you. I didn't necessarily say Pro Bowl, but the talent is undeniable. He has the talent. It's all mental. It's all work ethic. Those are just things you can't predict. The situations he's been getting in for the last 365 days, nobody could predict that. Even the biggest Dwayne Haskins hater didn't think that this with the divorce and all of that was going to happen to him. So the talent is undeniable. Even just watching film, you can see, if you can fix this, if you can fix that, he can be great. He just never was able to. Maybe he can in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Yeah, I had too many Twitter debates with Giants fans for Dwayne to let me down. But it's all good. It's crazy that we drafted him in 2019 and he got cut before last season even ended. Just such a disaster. And hopefully that, if anything what happened with Dwayne, hopefully will send a message to Dan Snyder that you don't know anything. Like, stop
Yeah.
meddling with this organization, because I mean, like, everything he's touched, like every quarterback that he's wanted us to have, like Donovan McNabb, RG3, Dwayne Haskins, it all did not work out at all. So I think that yeah.
One positive note, Dwayne Haskins, though, I'm not exactly sure if we would have Terry McLaurin if we didn't
Yeah,
draft Dwayne Haskins.
yeah, I've
Or
said
Chase Young.
that too. I mean, he wanted us to draft Terry. Like, I think they asked him, what receiver do you want? And he said Terry. He probably added a couple others in there as well, but I mean, Terry's been huge for us. So yeah, that is one added bonus.
And Chase Young.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well,
he's been a better
gonna,
GM than
oh, well,
quarterback for us.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, because he was bad in 2019, we also got Chase Young as well.
Yep.
So last question, because I know Rico's got to head out in a little bit, and then we're gonna head out in a bit as well. So, what team in the NFC East do you think is the biggest threat for Washington in terms of competing with us for winning the division?
Man, that's tough. But I'm gonna go with the obvious answer here. It's the Cowboys. In my opinion, I believe with Dak Prescott back, that offense is going to be top notch once again. You remember for the first part of the season last year, they were scoring 40 points like it wasn't nothing, but their defense was just letting them down. Even though their defense is still terrible, they got Micah Parsons. I do think it's gonna be a little bit better. And you always do this to me, Pedro. I hate giving the Cowboys credit, man, but I gotta do it, you know what I'm saying? I gotta do it. But they got Micah Parsons, they got Dan Quinn. He can't be no worse than Mike Nolan. Mike Nolan was just terrible. So I do think that defense is gonna be a little bit better. And as far as the Giants goes, I want to say the Giants could be the biggest threat to us because we can't beat them for some reason, and two, they're just a really good team too. But Daniel Jones is the question mark. Just like for us, Ryan Fitzpatrick or even Taylor Heinicke, whoever starts is the X factor for us, and whoever plays well for them, they really determine how our season is going to go. Same with the Giants. If Daniel Jones is going to be their franchise quarterback and he has a phenomenal season this year, they could end up winning the division and they could be our biggest threat to win the division. But if Daniel Jones continues to go on this trajectory that he's been on for the past 2 years, they're not going to go anywhere. So I do think, based off of quarterbacks as the most important position and off of team talent, I do think it's the Dallas Cowboys, man. And that offense is just phenomenal, man. I can't even lie. And Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback when healthy. As much as I hate to say it, it's facts.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the Giants just off of, I think roster-wise, top to bottom, they're the better team. Granted, I'm team quarterback matters the most in football, guys. So, like, Dak Prescott is way better than Daniel Jones. I think it's all on Daniel Jones' shoulders how far the Giants do or don't go. I definitely feel like the Giants top to bottom are a better team. But, like, even I saw somewhere, I think Daniel Jones, even though Dak Prescott only played 4.5 games, Daniel Jones only had 1,000 yards and 2 more touchdowns than Dak Prescott last year. So he's got to do anything better than that. But if he's decent, if he's what Dave Gettleman thought even half of what Dave Gettleman thought he would be when he drafted him, I think the Giants are the bigger threat. It's just all on Daniel Jones' shoulders. Also, I think Saquon Barkley may not even be ready to play week 2 when we play the Giants, which is good for us. But I think overall the Giants are the bigger threat. They have the much better defense. The receiving core is right there with the Cowboys. Honestly, it's just all up to Daniel Jones if he can go out there and perform. Right now, he's been a killer for us. But I think this question is more so formed to who's the threat to winning the NFC East more. And I think it's also, all on Daniel Jones' shoulders.
Yeah, I'll say Cowboys for now, just because I'm not a Daniel Jones believer at all. I mean, I think he can be an okay quarterback at best, but I mean, the combination of his turnover issues last year, he turned the ball over and only threw 11 touchdowns. Also, I mean, he gets injured the first 2 seasons. He's gotten injured both years. The first year he had like an ankle thing. Last year he had a hamstring and something else where he missed games. So I just don't really trust him. Last quick question. I know Rico has to go. So Rock City, appreciate the $5 donation. Young Lions keep grinding. We need another linebacker, especially if someone gets hurt. And I mean, I definitely can agree with that just because, our linebacker depth is not great. I mean, you got Jamin Davis, beast, hopefully. Cole Holcomb, who I think is extremely underrated. And after that, Bostic, we'll see. I mean, I think who knows if he can, because if Jamin Davis starts at middle linebacker, who knows if Bostic can play the Will or the Sam? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, so I'm not a huge Bostic fan, but you got Khalil Hudson in there. But I do think they could add some depth. Quan Alexander is still out there. I really like him. We'll see if, there was a report that he's fully healthy and ready to go. So.
Oh, yeah. Quan Alexander, big time, man. Please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yeah, exactly with the linebacking depth. It's not really more so the starters. I mean, I don't like John Bostic. I don't want him in a starting capacity. I would love for him to be a backup because of that veteran, that veteran leadership, and he can come in on some plays. But you're telling me John Bostic is your linebacker that's not going to miss a snap? He played every single snap last year. John Bostic, really? He's not no Devin White. He's not no Darius Leonard. Why is he playing every single snap in the game? So I do think John Bostic, I don't like him at all as far as being a starter, but I want him on this roster as a backup. I would not mind having him as a backup. But then when you look at that depth, you have nobody. You have only person as depth, and I picked him as my most underrated player on this team headed into 2021. Khalil Hudson, I really do think at some point he could possibly take over that Will at some point in the season, and then that's when Jamin Davis is going to be ready to move to middle linebacker. But after that, what do you have? Jarrett Norris and David Mayo? Like, what? Come on, man. Are you really going to go out there with David Mayo? You telling me like Jarrett Norris is going to be able to get the job? No, come on, man. So I did see my man Roger Smith. Shout out to Roger Smith. He said Michael Kendricks could be a guy that we could bring back, and he was actually okay for us. He didn't really play that much, but he was okay for us. I know he's in a little bit of legal trouble. I believe he should have got out today, right? He was sentenced to 1 day and like 3 years on out for something like that. But I do think that we could possibly bring him back. But K1 Alexander, I wouldn't mind him. It's just he can't stay healthy, man. Like I guarantee you, if he could stay healthy, he would probably still be on the Saints or the 49ers. I believe it was the Saints he got drafted to.
Saints most recently, I think.
Yeah. Was it the 49ers he got drafted to though? I think
I believe so.
Yeah, so if he was able to stay healthy, he would probably still be on the 49ers. Just imagine him and Fred Warner, man. Oh man. But yeah, so K1 Alexander, give me him too. Or even Micah Kendrick. I wouldn't anybody over David Mayo and Jarrett Norris.
Yeah. And to add to that, I believe in Shaka Toney. I think it may take a while. He may not be ready this year, but I think if he moves to outside linebacker, he can take over that Sam spot very well. He's a freak athlete. They already had him running coverage drills in the Senior Bowl. He looked pretty good. I'm hoping to see him run some of those in training camp.
Yep.
Yeah. So, guys, I appreciate everyone for coming in today, the stream. Appreciate Rico. Appreciate Juan. Make sure you guys check him, both of them out on YouTube. Make sure you guys subscribe to them if someone could put their links in, but just search up Street Scores, Juan Gotti Talking Sports. Make sure you guys subscribe to me. Appreciate everyone for, stopping by, and make sure Rico's, about to stream. So make sure you guys check out his stream in a little bit.
Alrighty. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah,
man, much appreciated, man. Have fun. We definitely got to get one. We can go for like 2 hours or something like that.
Yeah,
got to.
Definitely.
Yes, before the season. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
right,
sir.
peace, guys.